You reach home, park your car, and suddenly realize you don't remember the last 5 minutes of the drive.
Let's talk about that moment, that really strange, universal feeling when it seems like someone just flipped an off switch inside your head. We're going to dive into the science behind why our brains seem to just power down and what they're really trying to tell us when they do.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're in a meeting, maybe you're listening to a friend, or you're just trying to read a book, and suddenly, nothing. You've completely checked out. You have no idea what was just said or what you just read. It's this frustrating, sometimes kind of embarrassing moment of total mental disconnect.
And the wildest part is just how fast it happens. There's no warning, no slow fade. It's just bam. Your focus evaporates into thin air, and you're left just floating for a few seconds, or, let's be honest, sometimes a few minutes, before you snap back to reality.
Okay, but here's the big idea we're exploring today. What if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if that switch-off moment isn't a failure or a sign that your brain is broken? What if it's actually a signal, a really complex and sometimes critical message from deep inside your own nervous system?
So, let's dig into why this actually matters. Because this mental switch-off, it isn't just one thing. It can range from a simple, awkward moment all the way to something way more important. On one hand, yeah, it's a social annoyance. We've all been there. But on the other end of the spectrum, it can be a serious safety risk. I mean, think about highway hypnosis. That's literally your brain switching off at 70 miles per hour. For a lot of people, frequent zoning out is also a flare being sent up by the nervous system, signaling that you're dealing with deep stress, overwhelm, or maybe even trauma. To really get what's going on, we need to go inside the brain and meet the two key managers who are actually running the show up there.
Think of it like this. Your brain doesn't actually turn off. It's more like a shift change. You've got the director, who's all about focus, logic, and keeping you on task. Then you've got the storyteller, who's in charge of all your daydreams, your memories, and that constant inner monologue. That switch off we feel, that's just the moment the director clocks out for a break and the storyteller grabs the mic.
And you know, this isn't just a cute metaphor. There's real neuroscience here. The director is what scientists call your executive control network. It's housed right in your prefrontal cortex, and it's the part of your brain that you are using right now to focus on what I'm saying.
And the storyteller? Well, that's your default mode network, or DMN. This network lights up whenever you aren't focused on the outside world. It's literally the voice in your head, connecting old memories with future plans. It's your brain's factory setting. So here's the most crucial takeaway. This isn't a glitch in the system. The scientific term for it is transient hypofrontality, which is just a fancy way of saying a temporary downshift of that focus center. It's a built-in feature. For example, it allows your brain to do essential maintenance. When you're tired, this downshift is your brain's signal that it needs its rinse cycle to clear out metabolic gunk that builds up during the day. It's absolutely vital for your long-term brain health.
But look, this switch off isn't just one simple thing. It's a whole spectrum of different experiences, ranging from something really productive and even pleasant to something deeply distressing. Let's break this down. On one end, you have creative daydreaming. That's your brain just making loose connections, which is where those amazing aha moments come from. Then there's the flow state, which interestingly is a deep zoning in. After that, you've got mind blanking, a totally empty mind, just static. And at the far end of the spectrum is a dissociative shutdown, which is an involuntary defense mechanism where you feel detached from reality, usually because of extreme stress.
Okay, so now that we know the why, let's get to the how. You can actually learn to work with your brain's natural rhythm instead of constantly fighting against it.
So if you find yourself suddenly drifting and you need to pull back to reality, this is your go-to tool. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1 technique, and it forces your brain out of your head and back into your senses. You just pause and silently name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can physically feel, and so on. It's an incredibly powerful way to re-anchor yourself in the present.
But what if you want to use this state for good? You totally can. It's a process called deliberate incubation. First, focus really hard on a problem. Then, and this is key, you step away and do something simple, like take a walk or tidy up. This lets your director rest and allows your storyteller network to work its magic in the background. Just be ready with a notepad to capture that brilliant idea when it finally pops up.
And if what you're really chasing is that feeling of peak performance, that flow state, the key is structure. You have to pick a task that's challenging but not impossible. Then kill all distractions and give yourself really clear mini goals. A method like the Pomodoro technique, where you work in focused 25-minute sprints, can be an amazing way to create the perfect conditions for flow. Now, we also have to talk about when zoning out might be a red flag.
Because while it's usually totally normal, sometimes it's a sign that your brain is asking for a bit more support.
The most important thing here is to pay attention to the pattern. Ask yourself, does this happen in high-stakes situations like when I'm driving? Is it more of a persistent, empty blankness instead of a creative daydream? Or are you having frequent feelings of detachment from your own body or reality? These could be signs of an underlying issue that might be worth talking to a professional about.
And if you do see yourself in some of those patterns, please hear this. It is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that your nervous system is completely overburdened, and it's using a shutdown strategy just to cope. Reaching out for help isn't just okay, it's a sign of incredible strength.
So if you take one thing away from all of this, let it be this. The next time your brain checks out, remember it isn't a flaw in your design. It's a dynamic, sophisticated, and pretty amazing form of communication from within.
That inward turn your brain takes, it can be a wellspring of creativity, it can be the gateway to peak performance, or it can be a profound signal that you just need to rest. By learning to understand what's happening, you can start working with your brain, not against it. The only question is, which message is your brain sending you?